The day does not begin with the sunrise. It begins with a sound. Not the cheerful song of birds drifting through fresh spring air, and certainly not the ringing of clocks counting the minutes with modern certainty. Instead, somewhere beyond a wall of rough oak and woven reeds, a rooster tears open the darkness with a cry that sounds less like celebration and more like a warning. Another answers from across the village. A dog stirs. Somewhere unseen, a cow shifts its enormous weight, and the wooden beams of its shelter groan softly under the movement. For just a few quiet moments, the entire village hangs between two worlds. One belongs to sleep, the other belongs to survival. And for every family tucked beneath heavy wool blankets in this little corner of medieval England, that thin line between comfort and hardship is measured not by hours on a clock, but by the slow arrival of daylight itself. Every minute spent lying still is warmth borrowed from the fire that died hours ago. Every minute delayed means precious work left unfinished before darkness returns once again. This is not a dramatic battle. No armies gather. No kings ride across the countryside. No famous names are about to change history. Instead, history whispers through ordinary people, through aching hands, smoke-blackened roofs, damp boots waiting beside the door, and bread dough quietly rising in the corner of a tiny room. It lives inside mornings exactly like this one. So, if you like, settle in beside the fading embers of the hearth. Pull your wool blanket just a little tighter around your shoulders. Listen carefully to the house as it wakes one sound at a time. Together, we're going to spend one slow morning in medieval England. Long before anyone opens their eyes, the house has already begun speaking. A small crack echoes somewhere above as one of the roof timbers cools from yesterday's fire. Tiny pieces of dried thatch rustle overhead where mice have spent the night exploring their familiar pathways. Wind slips through narrow gaps between timber beams, carrying with the unmistakable smell of damp earth. The room itself is surprisingly small. If you stepped inside expecting spacious cottages from storybooks, you might feel almost embarrassed by how little space exists here. Nearly every object has more than one purpose, because every square foot matters. The walls are made from woven branches packed tightly with a mixture of clay, straw, and animal dung. The material dries into surprisingly sturdy panels, though small cracks appear after years of rain and winter frost. These are patched whenever time allows, usually during warmer months when fresh clay can dry properly. Nothing is perfectly straight. Nothing is perfectly smooth. Every surface carries fingerprints left by the people who built it. The floor beneath your feet isn't wooden. It's packed earth. Generations of footsteps have pressed the soil until it feels almost as hard as stone. In wealthier homes, fresh rushes are spread across the floor to soften each step and absorb moisture. Here, the layer is thin, carrying faint scents of herbs gathered months ago. Lavender, mint, and occasionally sweet woodruff when fortune has smiled upon the household. The smell is unlike any modern home, with smoke lingers in everything. Not just the fireplace, the blankets, the clothes, the walls. Even fresh bread carries traces of smoke, because nearly every meal has spent hours above an open fire. Your eyes adjust slowly. The last glowing ember inside the hearth paints gentle shades of orange across blackened stones. Ash settles quietly like gray snow. The fire has almost died. That matters more than it might first appear. Fire is comfort. Fire is cooking. Fire dries clothing after rain. Fire keeps illness at bay during damp winters. Most importantly, fire is difficult to replace. Creating a new flame is possible, of course, but it demands patience. Flint strikes steel again and again, searching for one tiny spark to land inside carefully prepared tinder. On cold mornings, families often protect a few glowing coals beneath layers of ash overnight. If those coals survive until dawn, precious time and effort are saved. So before breakfast, before conversation, before anyone truly wakes, someone will kneel beside those fading embers. Not because it is tradition, because it is necessity. The oldest daughter often rises first. Not always. Every household works differently. But children in medieval villages become useful remarkably young. A girl of 10 may already understand dozens of daily responsibilities that adults depend upon. Her morning begins quietly, careful not to wake younger brothers curled beneath shared blankets. She moves barefoot across the cool floor. Even in summer, the earth steals warm from her feet. She crouches before the hearth. A bundle of dried straw waits nearby, protected carefully from moisture. Small sticks are arranged with practiced hands. Nothing is hurried, because haste often smothers the fragile spark before it becomes a flame. A gentle breath, another, then another,